It is nicely written, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, the Americans were going to take it off, I think, at one stage because the figures weren't quite glamorous enough for them, but...
Oh, I think that's its charm. I think it's wonderful. And especially she got so big and fat at one point, didn't she?
Yes.
And I thought that was great, because lots of women do that after they've had babies. They sort of like get to that point when they get really... and that they don't ever kind of... But she's lost weight again. She's, for this new series, she's lost weight again, which is neither sort of like an incentive to sort of like say, well, you know, you do it as well. It's great.
I can understand a young girl, you know, perhaps who hadn't furthered her education, which you hadn't at the time, going in to be a pop singer. But then you went into acting, didn't you? And fairly dramatic acting at one stage. Didn't you? Did you not?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I used to live around...
quite a transition,
well,
wasn't it?
not really. I used to live around the corner to Glenda Jackson and Roy, her husband, and apparently used to talk about me in bed.
Really?
I can think of better things to do in bed. But and she used to say, you really should put her on the stage, Roy. And eventually he came round and first of all he said Pygmalion. I thought, oh, that's so obvious. And then he said, well, what about Shakespeare? I said, what? But then I did Ophelia in Shakespeare. That was fun. And that worked out well. And I said, but it's not big enough, you know. It's not as big as Hamlet's part. It's much bigger. So then he suggested I did Bernard Shaw's Sir Joan, which is a pretty...
Now that's a tour de force, isn't it? That's a monster part.
Well, I was living partly in Ireland at the time, and I used to rehearse or learn the script in Ireland. I used to, in this big field, and there was this kind of like tree trunk that had been struck by lightning, so it was a bit like a pulpit kind of thing, and I used to sit or stand in this tree trunk and surrounded by cows, and I would rehearse.
You stopped doing it then, though, didn't you? You didn't keep
it
up?
Oh, yes, I lost my bottle.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. No, I disappeared for a little while. For quite a long while, actually, and about 10 years. I'd had enough. I wanted to rethink, and it seemed like I'd spent the whole of my youth sort of like being looked at. I mean, people don't really become famous now till you're about 20, 25 or something like that, but I've been famous since I was 16 or 17, and really hadn't had a chance to really form my own opinions about things, to really get to know myself. And I was making so many mistakes, left, right and centre, that all I could...
In your personal life, you mean?
With everything, with everything. I was really off beam. And so I just sort of like ran away and hid for about 10 years and sorted myself out.
Found new standards and all the rest of it?
Well, not even new, some standards.
Right.
I never had anything before.
Right. Tell me about that in a minute. First, let's look at another of the clips you've picked, and this is a good memory. A lot of people who've been on this programme have wanted to pick Quatermass.
Oh, really?
And, I remember, it was one of the early things that I remember very well, and I guess it would have been about the first thing you ever remember on television, was it?
I must have been about 7 at the time, yes.
Yeah, it frightened you then, I guess.
I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be frightened.
I wasn't supposed to watch it,
No,
actually.
I bet not, but
My mum's going to tell me off when she sees this.
I don't think you'd be frightened now.
Alive, thank God. They're gone. Cigarette. Hush. He's breathing normally.
Back, you're safe.
He'll be all right. Mr. Green. Dr. Reichenheim. I don't understand. How could they? There's nobody there. There's no sign of either of them. What's that? They're gone. They're gone. What's going on? I don't picture face. As a matter of interest, this happens to be news. Unless they open the door and got swept away. Checked all the instruments. That door hasn't been opened till now. Victor, where are the others? Victor! Victor! What happened?
Something sinister happened, but it all had us on the edge of our seats many years ago, didn't it? And you shouldn't have been allowed to watch it at 7.
No, I wasn't. I never did, really, honest.
You were telling me about your period of adjustment and sort of quitting the show business scene and all the rest of it. Was it in that period you became a Buddhist, didn't you? Or was it then, or later, or are you a Buddhist still?
Yes, of course I am.
What do you mean, of course you are? Not everybody's a Buddhist.
Well, I mean, once you become a Buddhist, I mean, it's a bit, you know, you don't give up something great, do you?
How does that fit in with show business? I mean, are you still, I suppose you're still in show business up to a point, aren't you? Because you've been appearing again in the last
Yes, I've been
years.
Dabbling a bit, sort of like
Yes.
putting my little toe in and testing the water.
Torvill and Dean have had the ability to make people happy in a rather different way, and you've selected a spot of ice skating.
I just love Torvill and Dean. Gosh, aren't they brilliant?
They're fantastic. Are you a sports person yourself? I mean, do you ice skate or anything?
No, it's not. It was the artistic content of it that really. It's a bit like watching Margot Fonteyn and Rudolf Nureyev or Callas or anybody that's really brilliant at their art. And because it's such a contemporary art, it's so original what they do. They're streets ahead of anyone else, really.
Yes, they are. Well, they certainly were. You've asked to see Christine Keeler. Now, why have you asked to be reminded of that situation?
Oh, well, because I think it happened about 63, am I right?
Yes, I believe so.
And at that time I was sort of like about 15, 16, and I'd never been up to London, and this woman was quite fascinating. I saw her on a television and she epitomised everything that was sophisticated and unknown and what was in that world out there. She was a beautiful creature when you look at her. I can understand why everybody went a bit doolally over her. Let's have a look.
Okay.
In 1963, Lord Denning, one of Britain's senior judges, was appointed to inquire into the security services handling of a secret scare. John Profumo, the Minister of War, had been having an affair with Christine Keeler, who was at the same time involved with the Russian naval attaché in London. Denning's report gave, for the first time, some inkling of how the service operated and how its job was defined.
The security service in this country is not established by statute, nor is it recognized by common law. Even the Official Secrets Act do not acknowledge its existence. The members of the service are, in the eye of the law, ordinary citizens.